Today's daily reading from Divine Romance from Master Permanent Servant. Says, don't grieve for what you don't have. The most materially successful man may have the greatest worries and unhappiness in contrast. I've seen in humble little huts and caves in India men who were true monarchs. The earthly throne of one such saint was a grass mat. If I could place him before you, you would see a true king. He wore only a little loincloth and did not have even a baking bowl. Such are the real kings of the earth. Some of them I've seen in the Himalayas. No food, nothing at all, nor are they beggars. They are richer than the world's millionaires because they are the friends of all. People love them and love to feed them. In bitingly cold weather, I saw one saint in the Himalayas who had nothing on. Won't you catch a cold? I said. Sweetly, he answered. If I am warm with God's love, how can I feel the cold? Saints like him are greater than any crowned king. If without food, without any visible means of security, such men can be like kings, peaceful and without worry, why can't you? Realize that the infinite presence of the Heavenly Father is ever within you. Tell him, in life and death, health and sickness, I worry not, O Lord, for I am thy child evermore. If God is free from karma, why aren't we? This is from a talk from Self-Realization Fellowship Temple in San Diego, California, November 18th, 1945. Karma is the fruits, the good or evil effects of action. If you swallow poison, your action produces the evil fruit of death. If you eat wholesome food, your action yields the good fruit of better health. Today I'm speaking primarily of evil karma, that which brings pain and suffering. If we are made in God's image, as the scriptures tell us, and God is free from karmic suffering, why aren't we also free? Evil karma is the result of misuse of our God-given power of free choice. Animals are free from individual karma. They can do no evil because they have no power of discrimination. Their lives are governed by instinct and by mass karma, the effects of their environment. Although sexually indiscriminative, they are not punished for it since their behavior is not self-determined but instinct-bound. So animals don't suffer from the effects of their actions as human beings do. Man has the gift of reason by which to choose all his actions and thus accountable for them. Then the question is, why is God eternally free from the fruits of actions and we are not? Let us go deep into the subject and you'll understand it as never before. God has spoken of us as eternal existence, eternal consciousness, eternal bliss. As such, he has never suffered. Why then did he conceive suffering for us? Isn't that strange? I know the answer, but I still argue with him. Lord, if you wanted to create this little play world, why did you have to make suffering a part of it? I agree, totally. Isn't that strange? I know the answer. Why does play choose death to us? Why didn't you create this earth with beautiful flowers and no weeds? With life and no death or pain or other sufferings of karma and no mass karma to plunge us into the terrors of war. Why, Lord, didn't you create a world without delusion? What can he say except that we are free, only we do not know it? The fact that God did not create delusion should not make us pessimistic. I am the greatest optimist. Optimism doesn't mean being happy so long as everything goes well. But when pain comes, turning gloomy and saying, God, you're terrible, God had nothing to do with their present state of misery. When he created us, he gave us freedom to suffer or to rise above it. Optimism means being able to laugh at both pleasure and pain, to mentally get away from the hurtful effects of duality. Pain has three causes. Pain is the greatest curse of the soul. For those who are suffering, it is dreadful. Even if you are all right now, how do you know that you won't someday be a victim? So long as there's any possibility of suffering, you must try to remove its causes by the roots. There are three factors behind man's sufferings. First comes delusion. Second, the effects of man's own wrong actions. And third, the effects of mass karma, such as the destruction of both good and evil individuals when Hiroshima was bombed. Delusion causes identification with the flesh from the beginning of life, and the child thinks of his body as himself, and the body are one. This is why he cries if you pinch him, and why he likes it when you soothe his hand. Delusion of identification causes the creation of man. Identification increases by pampering the body. In India, our training is different than here in the West. We are taught to conquer the flesh to mentally rise above body consciousness. If you love the body too much, you become sensitive. You suffer whenever the body is uncomfortable. You have been taught to suffer because you have been taught to depend too much on physical comfort for happiness. The desire for all sorts of comforts is a major source of pain. This is why the saints say we should not be attached to anything. If plain food is served, don't miss your favorite savory dishes. Never be so attached to anything that you become dissatisfied or unhappy or pain over the absence of it. Human beings suffer because they relate to an ego, the consciousness of self as being a physical being. Animals suffer much less than man because they are not egotistically identified with the body. They cannot relate to the ego as humans do. We also relate to others according to the degree of our identification with them. Seeing a stranger with a broken leg, you say, "How unfortunate." You feel sympathy for him, but you're detached from the pain of his injury. If you had broken your own leg, you would be suffering with the pain in the same way. A mother who sees the neighbor and doesn't feel as sorrowful as she would as her own child, and identification is the cause of suffering. You identify yourself more closely with your own body than with anyone else's, and you relate more readily to those persons or things that are nearest and dearest to you than to those who are not personally close to you. The connection between you and body plane is only mental. The fact is, if you learn to live in your body without thinking of yourself, you won't suffer so much. The connection between you and body plane is only mental. Then you are asleep, unconscious of the body, feel no pain. Likewise, when a doctor or dentist gives you an anesthetic and performs surgery on your body, you don't feel any pain. The mind has been disconnected from the sensation. On the other hand, by strongly picturing in your mind the suffering of another person, you can experience his pain in yourself. The best anesthesia against pain is your mental power. If your mind refuses to accept it, pain will be greatly lessened. I've seen at times when this body got hurt and felt severe pain that if I put my mind at the Christ center, that is, if I identify more with myself with God and less with the body, there is no pain at all. So when pain comes, concentrate at the Christ center. Be mentally apart from pain, develop more strength of mind, be tough within. When you're feeling pain, inwardly say to yourself, "It doesn't hurt me." When a hurt comes, recognize it as something to be cared for, but don't suffer over it. The more you concentrate on the power of the mind, the more your body consciousness drops away, and the more you love the body and over solicitous of it, the more limited the redeeming power of the mind will be. You heighten suffering by imagination. Worrying or feeling of sorry for yourself won't ease your pain, but rather increase it. For instance, someone wrongs you, dwell on it, and your friends talk about it and sympathize with you. The more you think of it, the more you magnify the hurt and you reduce suffering. When someone wrongs you, it is far better to love them spiritually, give them your blessing, and forget it. God is conscious of our suffering, certainly feels our aches and pains. Didn't Jesus say that not one sparrow falls without feeling the knowledge of God? When the sparrow is being killed by the hawk, the Lord knows the little bird's sensations. He also knows your pain. Do you think it makes him happy to see you suffering? No. He's affected when you're in trouble, so he's not as happy as you think. When God dwells in his absolute state beyond all creation, he knows he is the happiest being there is. But as soon as he feels the desires and sorrows and troubles of his children, he's not so happy. You can sympathize with someone else's suffering without actually feeling the same sensation. But if you become completely identified with that person, you'll feel his pain as your own. The idea is God knows what is going on in his creation, but still he is free from the delusion of identification with it. So even though God feels your suffering and mentally suffers for you, his suffering isn't the same as your delusion because he is not identified with this universe of dualities in the same way you are. He wants you to become like him. That is, you should live in this body but not be affected by it. Then you'll see that you are free from karma. It is not God alone who is free. You, as a soul made in his image, are potentially free also. Be like God, who is carrying on all the work of creation without being identified with its delusive nature. In sleep, you are free from karma. How to know that state of non identification with your troubles? I will tell you, even if there are serious problems you can't solve, there are problems of trouble. When you're asleep, you're free within, free from karma. You see, even by just closing your eyes and shutting out the sight of the world and your body, it is possible to separate yourself to some degree from identification with the body. You begin to understand that you are consciousness, you're a thought. Thought cannot be invaded by the sensations of the body unless you permit it. Close your eyes and you can feel this truth within. Try it out. It will work. With closed eyes, you remain fortified within yourself and do not allow your mind to be excited by the sensations of the body. You become free from karma. Isn't that a marvelous thought? See the compassion of God that for 8 hours every night while you sleep, you experience no pain, no suffering, no knowledge that you have no difficulties at all. In this way, He shows to you that when you free your mind, you're free from karma. Many drink or take drugs to forget their troubles, but that is not the way. Liquor and dope only add to your troubles. So when you have a problem, one way to help yourself is to sleep it off. Death is a reward. Sleep is pleasant because you forget the worries of the day. So also the deeper sleep of death is very pleasant when it comes. But don't wish for death in order to fly away from your hard lessons in the school of life. That would be wrong. Whatever your tests in this life, you must pass them bravely. When you conquer here, death comes as a reward. It is the end of suffering. When someone is in great agony, people think, how dreadful. When he dies, they feel very sorry that he has to go. His friends and loved ones collect about him and lament, oh, how sad. But they have the wrong idea. Death has rewarded him with freedom from all suffering. He is much better off than they are. He no longer has to endure pain and discomfort. He's happy, he's free. So when your time comes and you are told you're going to die, smile and reply, is that all? Fine. I'll be free from all travails and responsibilities. Once wrote about a vision I had of dying youth in which God showed me the right attitude toward death. The youth was lying in bed and was told by his doctors that he had just one day to live. He replied, one day to reach my beloved, when death shall open the gates of immortality, I shall be free from the prison bars of pain. Don't cry for me, you who are left on this desolate shore, still to mourn and deplore. It is I who pity you. There is no reason to dread death. Pain is what we are afraid of. The pain of death itself is very little. But why didn't the Lord give us the power to change our old, worn out body as we change our old clothes? Wouldn't you like to come out with a young body when this one grows older weak without having to die and be born again? This is what some of the yogis do. Once in India, a very old yogi came to the cremation grounds upon a funeral. It was a young man's body ready to be cremated. The old man cried out, "Stop, I need that body." And even as he said it, the young man's form, enlivened by the spirit of the yogi, jumped up from prayer, and the saint's old body fell dead, bringing his new physical habitat. The yogi ran off and soon disappeared in the crowd. The astonished mourners cremated his old body. On a little island of the Bay of Bengal, there lived a saint. One day his devotees found him sitting on a pile of wood. He spoke wonderful truths to them. After he had finished his discourse, they asked, "Why are you sitting on the wood?" "To save you the trouble of cremating this body," he answered. I have stayed here long enough and have decided to give up this body now. He took a match and lit the prayer and remarked, "Lest you think I am burning alive, please come and see for yourself that his body is dead." And he consciously left his body. The devotees rushed forward and found that his form was indeed lifeless. Larry Mashai left his body in a similar manner. Mounting to a group of devotees assembled around him that he was going, he lifted up his eyes and was gone. The saints say that this is how you must treat the body as a temporary residence. Don't be attached to it or bound by it. Realize the infinite power of the light, the immortal consciousness in the soul, which is behind this corpse of sensation. How glorious is life after death! No more will you have to learn about the old baggage of bones with its troubles. You'll be free in the astral heaven, unhindered by physical limitations. The astral is not off somewhere in the clouds. It is another dimension of infinite beauty and variety hiding just beyond the grossness of this physical universe. On the inner side of my consciousness, I am in the astral world all the time. So I know, in comparison, this earth is a bedlam. In the astral world, you can order things according to your wish in your astral car. You can travel any distance instantly. If you desire flowers, they're there immediately just by willing them. And when you no longer want them, remove the thought and they're gone. You do these things subconsciously in dreams. You can do them even on this physical plane, but you have to develop much greater mental power in order to create as God does. In the miracles he performed, Jesus demonstrated he could do that. And he said, he that believeth on me, the Christ consciousness or universal intelligence of God in all creation, the works I do shall be also. The greater works than these shall he do. So remember, that is nothing to fear. You're the movie house of God, and when the show is over, don't cry about it. Once I saw a movie in which the hero was killed, and I felt so sad. Then I thought, well, he will come on the screen again in the next showing. I'll wait until he comes back to life. Then, before he got killed once more, I left the theater. So it is with souls who die and awaken on the astral plane. They leave the physical movie screen and reappear on the astral movie screen. They never really die. Many, many devotees who have died I have seen again. That is why I don't sorrow. When you know God, he shows you everything and you'll no longer miss anyone. Sometimes the astral form of a person will be sitting right by your side. You won't see him because you can't see an astral being with the two physical eyes, but I can see him. You need the x ray vision of the third eye, the spiritual eye, to see souls in astral forms. You have to develop that spiritual eye. You're living here on earth in a dream. This is the Lord's world. Only you will become one with him. Will it be yours? Be like the maid servant living in the home of their employer, looking after the children. She's thinking, this is my home, this is my family. But inwardly, she knows it is not so because her real, shattered by disappointments, true guru warns you only to help you avoid the pitfalls along their paths, unless their teachers fly off the handle when their disciples are not obedient. The master would only say, don't you think that is right? I repeated the thing twice. Master used to say only once, and those who didn't take the advice would find out that they should have. 3 ways to rise above karma. If you want to rise above karma, try to realize these 3 truths. 1, when the mind is strong and the heart is pure, you're free. It is the mind that connects you with pain in the body. When you think pure thoughts and are mentally strong, you cannot suffer the painful effects of evil karma. This is something very cheerful, I have found. 2, in subconscious sleep, you are free. 3, when you're in ecstasy, identified with God, you have no karma. This is why the saints say, pray unceasingly. When you continuously pray and meditate, you go into the land of superconsciousness where no troubles can reach you. You can be from karma. You can be free from karma right now by these methods. Wherever karmic troubles have led you, go to sleep or think pure thoughts and make the mind like steel, saying to yourself, I am above it all. Just gonna write that in the snow. I am above it all. Not in an egotistical way, but I am above it all. Or best of all, in deep meditation, go into the divine state of super consciousness. The bliss of that consciousness is the natural state of your soul. But you have forgotten your real nature by being so long identified with the body. That untroubled, blissful state of the soul is to be reacquired. Ordinarily, you're free from consciousness of the body only 8 hours of the day. During the other 16, you make yourself miserable through your bondage to the body consciousness. By keeping your mind happy and by not dwelling on your troubles, you will suffer much less. But if you can remain in ecstasy, you'll see yourself free from karma all of the 24 hours of each day. Kriya Yoga sunders the prison bars of karma. So, dear ones, get away from this world not by flying away to a cave in the Himalayas, but to the cave of your mind, where you're free of the body and the little world. Practice Kriya Yoga, and you'll surely succeed on the spiritual path. This is my own experience. The liberating power of Kriya Yoga sunders the prison bars of karma. I have never found in East or West such a great technique as this. Everyone who is a follower of Kriya and of this path of self realization and fellowship will go far ahead. Meditate and see the results in yourself after a few years. Give yourself a little time. Don't expect results in a minute. You can't make health or money overnight. You must give time. It requires 8 years to form a habit. If you meditate and practice Kriya deeply for 8 years, you'll see you are on the way to self mastery. Just writing down this note about Kriya Yoga. If you meditate and practice Kriya Yoga for 8 years, you'll see you're on the way to self mastery. We'll see you are on the way to self mastery. Okay. The bliss of the consciousness is the natural state of your soul, but you have forgotten your real nature by being so long identified with the body. That untroubled, blissful state of the soul has to be required. As a part of your meditation each night, make this affirmation, repeat it over and over again to yourself. Father, thou art free from karma. I'm thy child. I am free from karma now and forever. That is what I want you to feel. This is just what the doctor ordered, this affirmation for me, reading here at Divine Romance right now. No one delivers better than Master Pawan Subananda. What has been said today is one of the greatest messages I've given to you for overcoming all misery. I don't want you ever to forget it. Material remedies, medicines, physical comforts, human consolation have their place in helping to remove pain. But the greatest remedy is the practice of Kriya Yoga and the affirmation that you're one with God. This is the cure for every trouble, pain, bereavement, the way to freedom from all individual and mass karma. This world is not our home. Our home is on the other side, in the cosmic consciousness of God. There behind the atoms, we are safe and sound in the kingdom of our Father. I pray for all of you. Lord, it is thy light I behold. I deeply pray for all souls on this path of self-realization, that soon you release them from the terrible delusion of their karma and mass karma, for all the errors of our conduct, for all our omissions and ignorance. Still, we are thy children. Remind us of this evermore, that even behind the prison bars of karma, we are one with thee. As soon as we are close our eyes, as soon as we are in ecstasy, we know we are made in thine image. We are free, O Lord. Thy love is overwhelming. We bow to thee. That concludes the reading from Divine Romance. Thank you, Master. God